Imagine buying your dream home in historic downtown Savannah. Charm of the cobblestone streets, the architecture, all these things are why you wanted that historical home in Savannah, Georgia. But flood insurance premiums are killing that dream for you. Why is that? Why are flood insurance premiums so high on these historic homes in Savannah, Georgia? In this video today, we're going to help you uncover why these flood insurance premiums are so high and what you can do to help protect your historic dream home in Savannah, Georgia. So let's get started. Hi, I'm Chris, the flood insurance guru. More than 12 years ago, I bought a house in a flood zone, just like this right here. Nowhere really near water. Guess what? I was required to purchase flood insurance. My premiums were going to be $3,000 a year when they should have been $300 a year. And I've been helping Savannah homeowners just like yourself overcome this problem for the last 12 years. Today, we're particularly talking about historic homes in Savannah, Georgia. What you need to know is a historic homeowner in Savannah, Georgia. So let's talk a little bit about this today. Why are historic homes so different in Savannah, Georgia? Well, one reason is think about this. Think about the age. So when you have a home that's this old, a lot of things can be wrong with it. A lot of things can be different. And because of that, costs can be really high to rebuild it. Things may not be available anymore. This is exactly why private flood insurance, for example, is very limited on these homes. A lot of private flood insurance companies will not offer coverage on homes more than 100 years old. So this is something you want to think about on these historic homes. Hey, what are my flood insurance options on these historic homes? So let's talk about what are your flood insurance options real quick. If you're looking at purchasing a historic home in Savannah, Georgia, there's some things you need to know. The first thing you want to know is what flood zone your property is in. This is going to kind of tell you, if you're taking out a mortgage, what your flood insurance requirements are. So what are the flood insurance requirements in Savannah, Georgia? Look, if you're in a special flood hazard area, we're going to be talking about things like flood zone A, flood zone AE. These are called special flood hazard areas. These are areas where flood insurance is going to be required if you have a mortgage. Then there is flood zone X, also called the non-special flood area. Some call it low risk, but more than 30% of flood claims nationwide come out of these areas. So just remember that when you see that flood zone. But that's the first step in looking at purchasing this historic home in Savannah, Georgia. What flood zone are you in? Then there's understanding your flood risk. You can find that in the description of this video. This is the chances of your property actually flooding over a 30-year period. It's very important that you know this, because this can give you a good idea of what flood insurance premiums are going to look like in the future. It can also tell you, hey, what are my flood insurance premiums looking at now? How close to water am I? All these things that are used to determine flood insurance rates in Savannah, Georgia. So those are two things to understand. Then there, of course, is understanding your flood insurance options. The National Flood Insurance Program, private flood insurance, what's going to be the best solution for you. Being on the historic preservation list here in Savannah can have its benefits. It can also hurt you a little bit when it comes to flood insurance, especially if your property is maybe substantially damaged, like a lot of properties were after Hurricane Debby. This means that more than 50% of the market value was either damaged or destroyed by floodwaters. There's certain ways you may have to repair your property in order to keep it on that National Historic Preservation List. There may be certain protocol you have to go through in order to keep it protected because of the way it is protected. So these are all things you want to think about of how the National Historic Preservation List impacts your property after flood damage or even getting flood insurance. One of the questions a lot of private companies ask is this property on a National Historic list, because there's certain restrictions and things you have to do. So this is how it can impact your flood insurance here in Savannah, Georgia. Savannah, Georgia's area makes it very popular to live, but it can also make it very dangerous. You've got a lot of different flood risks. You probably don't see him behind me, but you've got things like rainfall. You've got lakes, rivers. You've got coastal flooding from areas like Tybee Island. You've got flood risk in historic downtown Savannah. You've got flood risk in Richmond Hill, Pooler. All these areas that were hit really hard by Hurricane Debby, and Hurricane Debby has shown us why flood insurance is so essential in Savannah, Georgia. You see, it can be the difference between bankruptcy and foreclosure and financial protection. We're seeing it right now after Hurricane Debby, after so many homeowners who didn't have flood insurance. In fact, it's said that almost 75% of the properties that were damaged by Hurricane Debby were not required to carry flood insurance and did not have it. So as you can imagine, This can cause a big exposure, and this is why flood insurance is so essential in the Savannah, Georgia area. Thank you for watching today's video. Remember, if you like the video, share, subscribe, and like the channel. You'll also find our playlist for Savannah, Georgia flood insurance in the corner here. Remember, everybody's in the flood zone. It's just no matter how much water it takes to get to you. So if you're ready to take the next steps of getting that flood insurance quote, 3 simple steps. In the description of this video, you can click on the link to fill out the form, then review your options and finalize your policy. It's that simple. We look forward to speaking to you in the next video for Savannah, Georgia flood insurance. I'm Chris, the Flood Insurance Guru.